All right. This is Sam Wong from Hong Kong Baptist, and today we are going to talk about the best fit university. As students, counselors, and parents are rolling in, can we do a very quick research? Whoever is, entering the room can join. I just want to know, who are we today? If you are going to be in your final year in high school, starting from September, or you are currently in your final year in high school, could you please raise your hand using the little icon? I just want to get an idea who is listening to this webinar. So for those who have just entered, if you are going to be a final year student in high school, or you are a final year high school student, please raise your hand. Okay. Quite a lot of final year students. All right. Well, it's never too late to think about the best fit. Okay. So please lower your hand. Who is in grade 11 or the second final year in your high school? Grade 11? Any grade 11 students? Any grade 11 students here? Not many. Do we have any grade 10 students or grade 9? Like starting really young, 15-year-old, 14-year-old, thinking about colleges already. We still have a few. Wow, I'm impressed. And I can see that we have some counselors here, friends. Hello. All right, I think we have a pretty good audience now. Let's get started. So, I just want to give you a very quick idea. What are we going to talk about today? So today, first, I will talk about how to identify the right fit or the best fit. And then I'll talk a little bit on how to do your research. And I will briefly touch on the first step to preparation for college application. So we won't go into details on how to do the application now, but we will talk about the first step. And then there will be a Q&A session for this particular webinar. And at the end of it, I will give a 10-minute admission talk about Hong Kong Baptist University. So if you have any questions about applying to Hong Kong Baptist University, please kindly wait until the end of the session. Okay, but first, let's talk about the best fit. So I think the first question is, why do we talk about the best fit, but not the best university? It's always that question. Why so? Why is that? Well, it's because college is an experience. It's not just a major. And every single one of you is an individual. You have your own aspiration, you have your own interest, you have your own need, and you have your own preference. And it's simply not possible to have the best university for everyone. But it is possible to find a university that fit your aspiration or fit you best. And it is important that you find the best fit, because only at the best fit university you can thrive and excel. And that's what we wish for you at the end. So this is the whole reason why we talk about the best fit today. Now, how do we find the best fit? I narrowed down to two big questions. First, what? Okay, what do you want to do with your life? Now you see the highlight here is you. It's not somebody's life, and it's not somebody's desire. It's not what your parents want, what your teachers want, what your uncle, auntie wants. It's what you want to do with your life. Now, I see a lot of final year high school students here. Maybe you will have a slight idea. Not 120% clear, but you have a slight idea. But then we also have some grade 11 student, grade 10 student. It might be a very big question for you. So I have some small questions to help you to answer this big what. First, what is your aspiration? Now, I don't know about you, but to be honest, I did not know the word aspiration or the true meaning of aspiration until like maybe 3 years ago. So my, other questions like to replace that would be, what annoys you? That's how I find out, my aspiration. For example, I love dogs. I hate people mistreating dogs. So there is no major saying, bachelor of degree in treating dogs well. But if I love dogs, I hate people who mistreat dogs. I could be working in an NGO that promote the idea of treating dogs right. I could be the CFO of that NGO. I could be a KOL even, running a PR company, running a PR firm to promote that idea. Or I can study political science in government and international studies and change the policy on, protecting dogs. So there are many different ways to achieve my aspiration. But first, you have to find out what is your aspiration, what annoys you. So I have listed out a few examples here. Do you want to stop climate change? Do you hate when people will get like take away and use all this plastic fork and lunchbox? Do you want to solve energy crisis? Do you want to turn off all the light before you leave the room? Do you want to run an NGO? Do you want to work on a cause? There is no dream that is too big, because first you have to find out what is that big aspiration is, and then you can narrow down to, hey, what I want to do with that. Okay, so that's the first thing. Think about it. What annoys you, or what inspire you? What do you want? What are you aspiring to be in the future when you grow up? If you don't have an answer for that, don't worry. Think about this. What do you enjoy most at school? Now, the easiest way would be, thinking about the subjects that you like. You could love maths. You could love history. Don't jump into the conclusion and say, oh, I cannot find a job if I study history. Don't jump into that. Just try to identify which class do you enjoy most while you are at that, okay? Or maybe it's not a subject. Maybe it's something that you do at school that you really enjoy. Do you like to debate with your classmate a lot? Maybe you always have an opinion on things. Maybe you could be a great diplomat. Or are you the person who always come back in the morning and say, guess what? Guess who I saw yesterday? Maybe you are a reporter. Maybe you are a journalist. Maybe you are a writer. Or are you that guy who always start a project and say, hey, we should do that. Maybe we can start a party, or maybe we can change the notice board in this way. Are you that person? Maybe you want to work in politics or in government. Maybe you want to study that. Maybe you want to be a social worker even. So think about what do you enjoy most at school. But one thing to be sure, do not translate your interest directly into the name of the programs. Just like what I tried to explain at the beginning about dogs. I love dogs. There are so many different ways to help them. So you do not have to narrow down. For example, you like history. It doesn't mean that you have to study history. Maybe the reason why you enjoy history is because you can sort of look at the past and look forward to the future. Maybe you want to do international studies. Or maybe, in fact, you are just very much into all the stories that happened in the past, in history. And you can be a great writer and you want to do creative writings. So do not jump into conclusion. First, answer this bigger question before you narrow down to maybe a few possible programs that will suit your interest and your aspiration. Okay. Now that is the first question, what? The second question is where? And the first small question to that is whether you want to stay home or you want to go abroad. Now, if you're here, you're probably interested in going abroad. And I applaud you on that because it could be very scary. But I also would think that this is not your final decision. It's not like you must go abroad. Otherwise, that's it. You have no alternative. It's not like that. So the crucial part here, I would say, is it has to be your preference, not anyone else. So you might have come across a friend or a senior or an uncle, auntie and say, you must go to the States, otherwise you have no future. But then you may also have, come across another person who will say, don't go to the States. You will never find a job. Neither could be true, either could be true, but again, neither could be true. Listen to all those people who love you, but make that judgment on your own. Okay, so first think about it. Do you prefer going abroad? Does it scare you? Or it scare you, but are you still curious? If you're still curious, I'll say go ahead and do your research about overseas university. But if that scare you so much and then you hate the idea so much, then just stay home and look at the universities in your country and see if there's anything available. Or if you are in a country where you could not find any universities that you would like to go to, at least start with the neighboring countries or regions. You do not have to push yourself all the way to the other continent or across the world. It's not necessary, okay? Do not let that block your way. The world is huge. There are 7 continents, come on. And when it comes to your research, you can start by the culture because the world is big. Like, where should I start, right? So first, are you ready to really travel around the world, like half around the world to another place? Do you like city life or do you like country life? And it has nothing to do with where you are right now. I mean, for example, I'm a city girl for sure, but I wouldn't mind going to a destination where they have a lot of countryside for 4 years. Because I know for the rest of my life, I'll probably just stay in a city. So maybe I want to spend 4 years in somewhere with a lot of mountains and nature and all that. So think about what you prefer. And then think about different culture. Do you prefer Asia or North America? And again, it does not have to be related to where you're from. For example, I'm from Hong Kong. I was born and raised in Hong Kong. I studied in Hong Kong. I spent all my life here. But to be honest, when I'm abroad, when I'm in North America especially, I feel more comfortable because I'm very blunt. I'm very direct. I'm very a typical Asian. And I'm not so much of an Asian female typical image. So I actually feel more comfortable when I was abroad. But you could be a Brit, you could be a European who has spent all your life in Asia, studying in international school in different Asian country, and you might find Asia more comfortable. So think about your preference in terms of culture, and then think about the cost. So of course, well, it might not be your problem, it might be your parents' problem or your sponsor problem, but cost is always, a huge concern. So here I list out first scholarship or loan. Now, typically scholarship means something like a funding that is given to you and that you do not have to pay back. Okay, a loan is like lending you money, that you borrow money from someone and that you have to pay back. So in certain countries, regions, they offer both scholarship and loan. So when you look at scholarship, for instance, you have to find out what kind of scholarship are they. Are they merit-based scholarship, meaning they will look at your academic performance mainly, or are they need-based scholarship, meaning they will look at your need, that if you are, financially challenged, then you might get a scholarship. What kind of scholarship is that? That's the first thing. And then if you are looking at a loan, which you have to pay back, then look at the timetable. When do you have to start paying back? Are you ready to pay back that loan? Because I know some of the students, they might be first generation university students, and the main reason for them to go to university is to get a better job so that they can support the family after graduation. And if you get a loan with very high interest rate that requires you to start paying back once you graduate from the university, that could be a lot, because you might not be able to get a job that quickly, or you might not get paid that well, and that could be a lot of pressure. It could be unrealistic. So even if you see the word scholarship and loan, still have to, investigate and get more information. Do not jump into, oh, they have scholarship, I will apply. Don't do that. Okay. And also the amount of scholarship, is it renewable? All this should be your, part of your research. And then there is the possibility for part-time jobs. Not all countries, cities, regions allow international students to do part-time job, but some is very lenient. So for example, in Hong Kong, international students are actually allowed to take up part-time jobs during the semester on campus. And during the summer, you are allowed to work full-time out of the campus, which is what many of our students do. So you have to check whether it is possible. Do not assume that you can work for sure as an international student. At the same time, even if you can take up part-time jobs, I also want you to look at, realistically, whether you can support yourself while working. Can you really work and study at the same time? Especially if you're a scholarship student, at the end of the day, study is your priority. And it's not like you can work like 50 hours and just to support yourself. You still have to spend a lot of time studying. And trust me, being a university student is very different from being a high school student. So you will need more time to work on your study to get there. So do not overestimate how much you can make by taking part-time jobs during the semester. Okay. Now, the second small question is academically fit. Now, it might be a new idea to you, but it's not too difficult. First, the university you are applying for should have the program that you are looking for. It sounds silly, right? Of course, you will only go to university that offer the programs you're looking for. Not really. I know students who will say, I must go to this university. And if they do not have what I'm interested in, I will change my major. I will change my interest. And I question that. I mean, really, you only thrive if you are passionate about the subjects. And there are just so many institutions around the world. Do you really want to reframe yourself from getting what you really want? Not before you do your research, okay? Promise me. So try to find an institution that provide what you are looking for, and then you should feel appropriately challenged when you are at that university. How do you find out? Well, you can look at their entrance score. You can look at their track record in the past 2 years. What are the scores they are looking for? You can talk to your counselors. Usually they're very knowledgeable because they might have sent quite a lot of students to different institutions, and they have an idea whether that institution is suitable for you. And the last bit is, other than classroom learning, do they offer the academic activities that you might be interested in? For example, if you are interested in research or student exchange, do they offer that? Do not jump into an institution and thought, of course, a university will offer that. It's not for sure. So find out. Otherwise, you might spend 4 years not doing any research or student exchange. Well, those are the things that you really, really want to do before you went into university. Okay. And moving on, type and style. Here, I'm talking about the university. So the size of the university matters. A big one is definitely different from a smaller one. So for example, we are a smaller university, everybody knows everybody. It's a community. But if you are going to a bigger university, you might feel like in a big city, that could be cool too. I went to a big university myself. So it really goes down to, again, your preference. And also there are different types of university. For example, the comprehensive one, where they have a major program and they offer research and they offer programs all the way up to PhD. And there are the liberal arts university, which in many cases you do not have to choose a major at the time of application, and you can expose yourself to different programs. So do your research and find out which type or style of university that might suit you best. And the last one is experience. And I'm talking about, during your study. Do they offer dormitory? Is the dormitory on campus? Because it's very different if they do not offer dormitory. If everybody lives on campus, you could have a very, very different student experience, because it's not like you will be spending your days and night together, where that's how many of my students become good friends. So that could be one thing. But then if you live off campus, you might be more independent, you might have more freedom. So that's a very different experience. Do they have the student societies that you are interested in? Do they have the sports team that you would like to join? something that you want to continue if you are already an athlete. So that's something you should check. And then what do they offer afterwards? Is it possible to stay in that country, city, region for career or further studies or residency? So you might also want to think about that. Is it possible to go for further study afterwards? This is something that you want to consider. So these are the two big questions in how do you, identify the best fit university. Now moving on, how do you do the college search? So there are two approaches. One is destination oriented and one is program oriented. So for destination oriented approach, it means that you first identify, say, 3 to 5 countries or region before you start your research. So you first identify the country or region or city, and then you start your research. Or you can go with a program-oriented approach, meaning you have locked down one particular program. For example, many of my students who are interested in communication, they will say, I want to do communication and I want to stay in Asia. And then they will look up like top communication school in Asia and then will find us. So that is also an approach to do that. So when you do your college research, I have a few tips for you. First, study the university's website. And the gist here, the most important thing here is the word study, not just scroll down, not just browse through the website. It doesn't help. And in fact, studying the website is so important because this is 2023. Almost all universities will put their admissions information online in details, including those very important information. For example, for us, we say on our website that in the early round, after the early round, we will look at all the application in the early round and we will start giving application by the end of December this year. So this is very, very crucial information. If you want to have an offer, if you are a competitive candidate, you want an offer before the end of 2023, you should apply by, during in the early round, which is from 27th of September until 10th of November. But if you miss that information and you apply in the main round, you could have missed the opportunity of getting a scholarship or an admission offer by the end of the year. So do your study, don't just browse through, really study hard, read through all the details. That's one thing. Secondly, make good use of social media. Now the highlight here is good. So I remember asking a student once, like, how did you find out about HKBU? And then they said, oh, I searched hashtag top university in Asia on Instagram, and then I found you. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy, but it's not the best way to do research, all right? So my suggestion is first, go to the official social media account of the university you are interested in. Again, it's 2023. I think all of us will have like an official account. And usually on those accounts, you will find lots of information. You will find information session they have hosts before. You will find students sharing. You will find news about the events coming up in the next few months. You will find like deadline reminders for the early round application, for scholarship, whatnot. So go to the official website. And at the same time, if you go to the official social media account of those universities and you could not find anything, that also says something about the university, isn't it? So do that, make good use of social media and try to find information directly from the university. And then attend an admission talk. Now, I mentioned that you can find recording of admission talk online, probably, but I still encourage you to go to an admission talk before, because when you attend a talk first, you will have to sign up, and then from then on, you'll be on the mailing list, and usually you will get like important information on the admissions from that institution, so you will not miss important deadline. Secondly, if you attend the talk, you can ask questions. And in many cases, we might say more than we expected to as a rep because you ask questions in a live setting. So go to an admission talk, and maybe you can leave a great impression too if you ask some good question. So try to attend an admission talk. Oh, one more thing. I mentioned about mailing list, and some student would be like, oh, there are just so many emails, I don't want it anymore, and I already have decided to go to another university. That's fine. Just write to us and say, thank you, I don't want to receive email from you anymore. That's it. We are very civilized, but don't just ghost on us. We are not your boyfriend, girlfriend. Tell us if you want to say goodbye. That's it. And then we will remove you from the mailing list. I think this is just a general practice for all universities. So don't worry about it, okay? And last bit, talk to current students. Now, I think many institutions offer to line you up with current students if you ask for it. For example, for us, we line up students from, if you are from a certain country, we will try to find current student who is from your country, or if you are interested in a particular major, we will line you up with someone who is in that major, then they can share their experience with you. So just ask. I think many of the university offer that, and it's great because they have gone through what you are going through, and they must have asked all those questions and they had an answer for it. So try to ask for the connection if you're interested, and don't worry about, I mean, if they are ambassador, if these students become ambassador, I mean, for sure they are helpful and supportive. So give it a try if you're interested. Now, the last bit is the first step to preparation for college application. I am not going to talk about how to work on the application, but I want to talk about what you should think of to start the preparation. And that's a few things. First, you should find out the minimum entrance requirements, the university you are interested in. What are they asking for? For example, do they ask for SAT? Now, many institutions have gone test optional. So what is going on in the past year, basically, is so many students would assume that they must take SAT, and they did not apply to us until they have taken SAT, which was not necessary because we accept a wide range of local qualifications. Only if they have read our website, they would have known that we accept the, for example, Vietnamese qualification, the Burmese matriculation exam, or the Kazakh UNT, or the Kazakh high school diploma. We also accept Malaysian qualification, Indonesian qualification. It's just so many of them. But it's all because they didn't read the information. They make assumptions. So go and find out what is required. Second thing, are there language requirements? And again, do not make assumptions. So many students would just assume that we are in Hong Kong, then you have to know Cantonese to apply, which is not true. 44 of our majors out of 48 does not require Chinese proficiency because English is the medium of instructions. So go find out. Don't scare yourself by assumption. Just go find out, and also find out what kind of test score are they asking for. Okay. And then the third part, which is a very popular question among students, the non-academic performance. So many students come to me and ask, what should I do? How should I build up my CV? Do I have to be a scout? Do I have to take 5 competition to be a house captain in the school, and run my own business, help my mom and dad? What should I do? So first, I would say only do things that you're interested in, please. Do not do anything for the university. It doesn't work that way. And when you present your experience, this is my suggestion. This is how, well, I look at it as an admissions manager after all this year. That's how I look at it. I would say the lowest level, the first level of your non-academic performance is participation. For example, students who submit a certificate of participation in a competition, or in an event, or in a sort of campaign, like a computer science campaign, whatnot. That's the minimal, like that's the level 1 participation. It doesn't say much about you. So you take part in that, so what? It doesn't say anything, okay? So that's the the least you can do with that experience. A better way to present your experience is to talk about the skill that you have learned. Did you learn something from that experience? Did you become a better leader, or even a better teammate, or better person in some way? So that's level 2. And then achievement. So did you win something? Were you the championship or first runner up? But if you ask me, you still have to explain what had happened. Let me give you an example. So there was once when I received photos, not just one, photos of medal from an applicant. That person have earned so many medals, and they took photos of it and then sent us those photos. I could tell that they must be good at something, but I don't know what that means. I don't think we know. We understand what is the meaning here that from those photos. So if you ask me, I would say to put your experience in the format of a CV or resume will help the faculty or the university to understand what your experience were. For example, you can write August 2022 competition, business competition, what I've learned. I was a team member, what I've learned. I was the best debater, or I was the best business manager. Our team was the first runner up. You can do that. Explain your experience. Don't just stand assert and just leave it there. And also, wherever you submit anything, if they're not written in English, translate that. Otherwise, it doesn't help us to understand your background, or it's not an advantage to your application. Okay. And the last bit that you should pay attention to is the application timeline. Every year still, I got emails from students saying, oh, I didn't know that I should have applied earlier. Oh, I didn't know that you have stopped accepting application. And I'm like, this is not secret. It has always been on our website. So read about the application timeline. If there are a few universities you would like to apply to, list them out in the table and rank them. I mean, you probably cannot prepare for the application for all 4 to 5 universities at the same time. So rank them. Can I do this first because they have an earlier deadline? It's more important, so I would do this first, and this is the second, this is the third. Build yourself a timetable that will help you not to miss any important timeline, and so there will be no regret only because you missed the deadline. Okay, so that's my tips on how to kickstart your preparation for college application. Of course, when you start the application, it's a whole lot of work as well. But if you are in grade 9, 10, or if you're going to start, you still have a month. If you are starting, your final year in September, you still have like 3 to 4 weeks, then you can still do this. All right. Now, this is the end of this part of the webinar today. Do I have any question here? I mean, do you have any questions for me? You can use the Q&A and I will try to answer that. Anything particularly about choosing the best fit? Anyone? Okay, that's a question. Can you tell us more about first choice when choosing a university? I have heard that universities give you priority. Well, that depends on the system itself. Different countries have different system. Different university has different rules and regulation. For example, for us, we process the application by the student's first choice. So, for example, every applicants get to choose 2 programs when they apply to HABU. For example, if your first choice is business and your second choice is science, your application will first be sent to business. If they give you an offer, you can consider that offer. If you decline that offer, that's the end of the journey. But if you are rejected by your first choice, then it will go to your second choice, which is science. But then there are also some programs that do not consider second choice. For example, our business, they do not consider second choice. Okay. Okay. Does your uni accept IB? I will talk about that later in the admission talk. Are there courses related to beauty and hairdresser available in my university? Not quite. And I would think it might be challenging to find a bachelor degree or undergraduate degree in beauty and hairdressing, but you might want to expand that. If you have a passion in beauty and hairdressing, do you want to go to university? That might be your first question. Or if you do you want to run a salon or a corporate of salons? If you do, then maybe you should study business. So try to figure out what you're passionate first, right? Where can I find or join the admissions talk? Well, I'm going to give a 10-minute admission talk after this, so just stay. Can international student work abroad after graduation? It depends. When you say work abroad, I wonder if you mean that can international students stay in where they study and start working? And it really depends on the rules and regulation in the individual countries and regions. For example, in Hong Kong, you are allowed to apply for visa extension, but it might not be the case in other countries, so you should check. How do I interact with a student from my country? Well, contact us. If you apply to HABU, if you want to be in touch with our current students, then just write to us. And once you start an application, we will be alerted and we can line you up with someone who is from your country. Is it better to have extracurricular activity related to our major or just our hobby are good enough? I mean, first, do you already know your major at the age of 14? And I do, personally, I'm really against the idea of doing anything for college admission. I mean, you should do whatever your heart said to. Like, it should be what you're passionate about, because that's the only way you will thrive and enjoy and learn and excel. I mean, what if what if you're applying for a major in, say, pharmacy? What should be that extracurricular activities, really? And I don't know. I don't think this is the right way to present yourself. It doesn't work that way in real life. So and I wouldn't say that your hobbies is good enough, because I don't know what your hobby is. If you spend like 12 hours playing on TV game, well, that could be a good hobby. I'm a gamer myself, but it might not be good for your college admission. So you really should find out what you're interested in, but then something that you can gain, not just experience, but skill. Sometimes interpersonal skills, sometimes leadership skills, sometimes just, you know, hard knowledge, even if you're joining competition, for instance, but that should be something you're interested in. Common problem for students in Vietnam who want to study abroad might depend on their parents on finance. What do I think about it? I think it's very realistic. It is true. And of course, it has to be, you have to talk to your parents about it, because if the family cannot afford for you to go abroad, then we have to face it, we have to deal with it. But you might also look at the scholarship opportunities, especially if you are a competitive candidate, then you should look at what is possible. For example, at HABU, we offer a full scholarship, which means it will cover the tuition and you will get like a 50,000 Hong Kong dollar subsidy on your living expenses. And for many of our full scholarship students, it's enough to meet ends. It's not a luxurious life, but you can meet ends, or they can meet ends. So it might still be possible if your parents find it challenging to support you to go abroad entirely. But if you get a full scholarship, that they will still support that. They will still, buy you the flight ticket, or, help you out, and subsidize you. So you will have to have that conversation with your parents. Are there programs for civil engineering? I will leave that to our an admission talk. Do students with Chinese heritage have an advantage? I do not see a direct relations to that because English is our medium of instruction. And from my experience or from my conversation with our students, it seems that our faculty is more interested in your aspiration. And also they are more interested in finding out whether you see HABU as your best fit. Because only if you find this as your best fit, you will thrive. You will be a great addition to the community and you will contribute to the university at the end of the day. Do I need an IELTS score to apply for scholarship? I will leave it to the admission talk. What if I'm still undecided to go to which university? Are there any suggestions to find or explore? I thought I just spent the whole webinar talking about it. So if it's still confusing, wait for the recording and watch again, okay? If I were interested in NGO and community work, which subject I choose? It really depends on what you want. What roles do you want to play in an NGO or community? You could be a social worker at the front. You could be, as I said, CFO, running the finance, then you should study maybe accounting. Or you want to be the poster child, you want to be the PR person, then you should study communication. So it really depends on what roles you are interested in playing. I want to apply, okay, we will save it on admission. Scholarship as well, save it on admission. When I write my essay, do I make sure that my extracurricular activities are related to my major, future major? I think I answered the question. How can I get along with the, okay, scholarship requirement, chances on getting dormitory? I will talk about that, about our situation later, but if you want to find out whether international student can get dormitory, you should definitely study the university website because every single university has different policy. Okay, if my first round of college application get rejected, will it be reached the second? It's really, okay, I can see that all those questions about our admission, so I will go into the second part, which is the admission talk. Let's look at this. So I will talk about Hong Kong Baptist, Hong Kong as a destination, some subject like our entrance requirement. And then if I still do not answer your question, you can start writing questions again, okay? But let me just start giving you the introduction of Hong Kong. So I bet you have heard of Hong Kong. It's a global metropolis. It's a fabulous city. We have very vibrant city life. But at the same time, it's very safe and it's very well connected. So many of our students, they take advantage of coming to Hong Kong and then they have the student visa in Hong Kong and then they will go to Southeast Asia in the summer or during their holiday, go to Thailand, Japan, or Korea for holiday because there are so many budget airlines offering cheap tickets in the region. And also they will, they can take up internship or social community work that is offered by the university. So that's possible too. Hong Kong has excellent infrastructure. I have no complaints at all. Every time when I come back to Hong Kong after traveling abroad, I love, standing on the platform for metro because they just come at no time. Every 2 minutes they are here. And then it's fast, it's cheap, it's aircon as well. So very good infrastructure. At the same time, we have a lot of nature. So 70% of the city is actually natural spaces. We have a lot of green, and that's what we're proud of because then you get a great balance between city and the nature. And you need that because it could be quite suffocated when you live in a big city. But then here in Hong Kong, you get both. We are proud that we celebrate diversified culture. So we are multilingual. In our daily lives, most of us use Cantonese. Many of us speak English. Most of us speak English, but Chinese is not required because, as I always said, Hong Kong people are so pragmatic. If they want to do business with you, they will find a way to communicate with you. I have Brazilian students buying ingredients to bake his own bread. I have Burmese students cooking and buying food, raw materials, raw fruit from the wet market all the time. If they can manage, then you can manage. We are multi-religious, so we often joke that we have public holiday for Christmas and Buddha, but that is true. In Hong Kong, you will find churches, mosques, temples of all sorts, and everybody follow their own faith in their own way. And we are also multicultural. And I'm not just talking about food and music. I'm talking about, we celebrate different festival. When you walk down the street, you will feel like you are part of this international community. And I hope you'll be able to enjoy that if you come to Hong Kong. Now, not only is a fabulous city, it's also a great city because of all these opportunities. I mentioned earlier that international students are allowed to take a part-time jobs on campus during the semester. And during the summer, you are allowed to take a full-time internship or full-time jobs outside of the campus. And internship is available across discipline. Hong Kong is actually a great place to do internship because the companies understand the concept very well. So when you are sent to a company as an intern, you will be working like a real adult. You will gain insight to the industry and you'll be handling real business with the supervision of, the standard employee, of course, but you will really get an idea what is it like. And as I mentioned again, after graduation, you are allowed to apply for a visa extension that could allow you to stay up to 2 years in Hong Kong to look for jobs. And if you get a job, then you can apply for a work visa with the support of your employers. And if you stay in Hong Kong for up to 7 years consecutively, including your 4-year degree, then you can apply for permanent residency. So there's a whole journey ahead for international students. Now, Hong Kong Baptist is a community, but also a family. We were founded by the Baptist Convention in 1956. That's why the name. We are a public funded university and English is the medium of instruction. Only a handful of programs require Chinese proficiency and they are Chinese languages, Chinese medicine, translation. Other than that, you are not required to know Chinese apply. We are located in the city center, so it makes it really convenient for students to explore the city. We have only 7,300 students, but we have 730 faculty and teaching staff. So you can see that the student-teacher ratio is really good. Small classes and strong teacher-student bonding is our strength. And this is a very close-knit community. Everybody knows everybody. I love the fact that when I walk down the promenade on campus, there is always someone who shout my name. Or if I go to the coffee shop, then I will see our student working there as a part-timer. And this is what we love, what we enjoy, and that's what makes us different from other universities in Hong Kong. Now, in terms of majors, we have 48 majors under 7 faculties and schools, and those highlighted in green here, they run on broad-based admission, meaning you do not have to choose a major at the time of application. You apply to, for example, Faculty of Arts or Faculty of Science, and then in your first year, you can get a taste of different majors, and at the end of your first year, you can apply to one of them. That you can choose one of them as your majors, and then starting from your second year and your third year, your fourth year, you will focus on that particular major. So that's very key, like a feature that you should pay attention to if you are applying, if you are interested in applying to these programs. And we also have some cross-disciplinary, transdisciplinary programs, and we also offer minor programs. So if you go to our website, then you will find the list. Now, other than the classroom learning, we offer different kinds of experiential learning opportunities. The first one would be student exchange. We have over 350 exchange partners in over 40 different destinations in 6 continents. We have partners everywhere except for Antarctica. We have a partner in Iceland. I would totally go there if I were you. Every year, not only we send our students, but we also receive around 1,000 international students. We're still working on that after the pandemic, but we are getting there. And that's what keeps our campus internationalized. And that also helps our students to get to know a study destination. And in some cases, our students, they actually do not go, they did not think about going abroad until they meet someone from that particular country. And then they thought, hey, it's actually quite interesting. And they learn more about the culture. You have a friend there. They will tell you, hey, it's actually not that expensive. I will show you how to live an affordable life as a student in my country. And then they start thinking about going on exchange. And because we have so many partners, it also gives our students more opportunity to go abroad. It could be, the duration could be flexible. It could be a semester. It could be during the summer. In some cases, it could be a year. And for those who go abroad, they can apply for financial subsidy. Even if you are already a scholarship student, you can still apply for financial subsidy. And then there is research opportunities. In fact, it's not just for science students. I also know students in like communication or business, they are also joining research project with their professors. You can start as early on as in your year one summer holiday. Sometimes stipend is available, meaning you might get some payment. It might not be big money, but it would be good as a subsidy, especially if you are staying in Hong Kong during summer for the research. But then you can also do it overseas. So we also run overseas fellowship, research fellowship programs, and it could be in different parts of the world. And then there is internship. So it could be credit bearing, it could be voluntarily, it could be referred by your major departments or advised by the career center, which is like a central career advisory body for all undergraduate students. And it could be done in Hong Kong or overseas, and it's available across disciplines. So we also have a fun, vibrant student life, and it all starts in the student residence. Now we have undergraduate halls on campus. They are the dormitory, and at the moment we have a total of around 1,700 residences, and we are building a new one, which is called Village Care. Hopefully, we will start using that in early 2024. Right now in the student dormitory, we have 2-people room, 3-person room, and there are kitchens on every floor. We have common room, we have gym, laundry, piano playing room where they practice music and all that. So usually that's where the fun begins. And then we have service learning, which is compulsory as part of your curriculum, meaning you do not have to find time to do that. You can always fit that in. It could be done in Hong Kong or overseas. We have a lot of sports team. We have a lot of student organizations of all sorts. We have ambassador schemes run by different faculties that will allow you to gain extra exposure or to be trained to become leadership or ambassador. And then we also offer different kind of new experiences, not, not limited to Thai boxing or trampoline or kayaking. So we want you to be able to live your life to the fullest in a way as a university student at HABU. Now comes to the important part, the admissions information. First, requirements. Now we accept a wide range of local qualifications. Please do go to our website for the full list. I'm only listing the very common international qualifications here, but these are not the only one. And I'm also listing them here as an either or. So for example, if you have IB diploma, then you do not need SAT. If you have GCE, then you do not need SAT. Okay, it's either or. For English, we do ask for English test result. And again, we accept a wide range of tests, including like GCE O-level, Cambridge English, and all that. So go to our website for the full list, okay? In terms of fees and expenses, these are the estimations. So if you look at the top, those are the estimated expenses. Tuition fee is around 18,600. Student resident is around 1,800, and we are talking about different kinds of room types. So we are picking the cheapest one where many international students will go for. Our estimation for 1 year, if you are staying on campus, is around 25,400. Now for student residents or international freshmen are guaranteed a spot in their first year. In your second year, you can apply, and the allocation is subject to availability. In your third year and your fourth year, you will have to either look for off-campus accommodation, or you can apply to be non-local mentors, to be like a prefect in the student residence to support freshmen or younger students, or you can apply for the entity guest house on campus, which is a more luxurious style of, it's more like a hotel. So 2 people share a room, and that is also an option. Now, if you're a full scholarship recipient though, then you would be provided university accommodation throughout your whole program period. Now, we offer admission scholarships here, and you can see that there are different types. We have the full scholarships that goes up to 25,000 US. So it covers not only your tuition, but it also subsidizes your living expenses. And there is the tuition waiver, meaning you do not have to pay for tuition if you have that, if you are awarded that scholarship, or there are half scholarship, and we also have faculties that offer entrance scholarship at different amount. Now, there is no application for scholarships. No application is required for scholarship. All competitive applicants are being considered automatically. Okay, and they are all merit-based scholarship, meaning we will look at your academic performance. But because we adopt a holistic approach in our admissions, we will also look at your non-academic performance, your personal attributes, and we interview students. So your interview performance will also count. Okay. This scholarship, for the full scholarship, tuition waiver, and half scholarship, they are renewable, and it's subject to a good academic performance every year. So you have to achieve GPA 3.0 at least to have them renewed for the whole program period. All right. In terms of timeline, we have 3 rounds of application. The first round, the early round, start from 27th of September to 10th of November, followed by the main round from 11th of November to 31st of January in 2024. And there is the extended round from February to the end of May. What you need to apply, the must are highlighted in green. Okay. You must submit your latest transcript. And if you are applying, say, in September or November, you probably only have your transcript from your grade 11. That's fine. Everyone will be the same. Most applicants will be just the same. So we will evaluate your application based on that. If you are an IB student, you must ask your school to send us the predicted grades. If you are a GCE student or you are a CASA student who are going to take UNT, if your school provide predicted grades or score, do send them to us as well. But it's not compulsory. And then you must upload a copy of your passport, or if you're applying for a passport and it takes time to get it, then upload your national ID. We need to make sure that you are an international student because there are certain policy in admissions, including the allocation of scholarship that is applicable to international students, which means non-Chinese, non-Hong Kong passport holders. And that's why it's extremely important for us to find out whether you are an international student, okay? And then I'm listing a few in white, which means you can submit them, but you can submit them later, or you can choose not to submit them. English test result. If you do not have them at the time of application, it's fine. Write down the date that you are going to take the test, and you can submit the test result later. Okay, it's fine if you do not have your English test result yet at the time of application. It's possible. Personal statement is optional. It is not a must, save for recommendation letter. That is why there is no guideline. We will not have guidelines on how many you should provide or what you should write about, in your personal statement. It's really up to you. My suggestion is, if you have a story to tell, do write a personal statement. But if you don't force yourself into writing something that you don't mean it, because our faculty members will read it, and in many cases, they will ask you about it during the interview. If you make things up, if you write something that you don't mean to, if they ask you a question, you will show, it will not help. Let's put it this way. And same for recommendation letter. If your teachers are so supportive that they really, really want to write something for you to support your application, then go ahead. But if they don't, it's fine. I have seen students who got a scholarship without recommendation letter. Of course, they were brilliant, but this is really optional. We say that for a reason. Okay. Now, I briefly touched on this, but I will explain it again. For applications we receive in the early round, applicants will be shortlisted for advanced evaluation, and we will give admission offers, and that could be an admission offers with scholarship or a conditional admission offer with scholarship by the end of December. And if you apply in the early round and you do not receive offer by end of December, you will be considered together with applicants in the main round. So if you feel that you are a competitive candidate and you are really very much looking forward to getting a scholarship, you are strongly encouraged to apply in the early round. Okay, that's the suggestion. And we will continue to issue offer on a rolling basis. All right, so do your calculation, look at all the universities that you would like to apply for, and if HABU is your best fit, if you want to get a scholarship from us, if you are a competitive candidate, then do apply in the early round. Okay, that's our suggestion. And this is the end of my presentation. I am Sam Wong. We are from the admissions office, and we support our students throughout the entire journey. So once you start an application, we'll be alerted. We will look at your application. We will give you some advice on tips on how you can complete the application. Okay, now let me look at some of the questions that you might have. What are the chances? Okay, I think I answered most of the question. How many days I will receive the offer? I think I answered that as well. IELTS in 2019, do you have to take it again? Yes, because it only lasts for 2 years. If I live in a non-English speaking country, but I've been studying in an IB school, you can use your IB English to fulfill the English requirement. That's why I said go and study our website to see what kind of qualifications do we accept. Okay, that's extremely important. In my first round of college, if my first round of college, okay, again, the first choice, second choice question. So it is only applicable to our university, to HABU. So let me explain it again. Every applicant gets to choose 2 programs. You will be considered by your first choice. If you get an offer, you can either accept it or you will decline it, and that's the end of your journey. Okay? If you got rejected by your first choice, your application will be sent to your second choice, and they might give you an offer or they might not give you an offer. And if they give you an offer again, that's the end of the journey. So in short, you are not being considered by both your first choice and your second choice at the same time. So think very, very carefully what is your first choice, because your second choice is basically just your spare choice. And once you submit an application, you cannot change your program choice. That's a definite. So think very carefully before you submit the application. Do you accept GED? Okay, GED is not on our list of recognized qualifications. We have experience accepting GED applicants before, but it's entirely based on the decision of individual programs. So there is a chance that one program accept GED applicants and the other one does not accept GED applicants. If paying for the application fee is a problem or is a challenge, I would ask you to seriously consider whether to apply or not, because we do not have the answer until you submit an application. We cannot ask the faculty to look at your application until you submit a complete application. We do not do a pre-evaluation. We cannot ask the faculty to do that. So you will have to consider whether you want to apply or not. But we have experience accepting GED student before, even with a scholarship. So it happened before, but at the end of the day, it really is on a case-by-case basis, and it's at the discretion of the faculty. Okay, if I want to study business, is there any IB subjects required? Very good questions. And it's same for all majors. We do not have specific subject requirements. You don't have to study certain subjects to apply to certain programs, but if you are interested in music, for instance, then you will have to take the Royal Academy examination and there is a score requirement. So music is something very specific. That's one. We are running out of time today. I strongly recommend that you go to our website and study as I explained in the webinar early on, because I feel like many of the questions that you are asking could be is covered on our website, and it would be way easier. And it's actually like I have like 2 students asking questions repeatedly, so I will let everyone go for now. But thanks again for joining me today. We are going to open for application very soon. Study our website, and if you have any questions, write to us to ardirect@hbu.edu.ha, and we'll be happy to answer your question.